everybody. All right, so I think what we're going to do today, like I have in the stream title there, so we're going to be focusing on drafting. Obviously, Homefront just came out. We've got a lot of people climbing up, trying to hit FM with the new month. I'm aiming to let that settle for a little bit before I hop in to ranked. I feel like, especially the first week or so, you start to see a lot of folks still kind of playing the old decks that were previously popular if they didn't get changed much or if they got like one or two cards. I've poked around a little bit with ranked right now, and unfortunately, I think right now there's a lot of Japanese intel that's still floating around, and it's not my favorite deck to play against, so I'm kind of hoping that the meta will shift a little bit away from that. So just going to let that settle. Going to be doing some drafts. But before we do that, I wanted to go through and sort of rank where I feel like nations tend to be in draft. So luckily someone did put together a tier maker list with the various draft nations on it. The one that is missing is Finland, so I'll cover Finland at the very end here. But basically the idea here would be, how happy I am to try and build a deck from these nations in draft. If you haven't done a whole lot of draft in cards, I will say a lot of the decks kind of end up sort of slotting in the sort of mid-range, and then it leans either more control or more aggressive. The way cards drafting works, in my opinion, is really interesting with offering multiple copies of things, but it does make decks pretty swingy, because if you get offered some of the banger common or uncommon cards for your nation, it can make your deck so much better versus getting offered crap. So that is one of the main things that I think we want to look at is, hey, what are the chances that you are able to hit stuff that is really impactful versus not impactful? And frequently in draft, you can't really plan on stuff being like fitting well together necessarily. So a lot of cards have to be sort of impactful on their own. It's very hard to draft a deck that has card combinations, especially if it's very, very complicated combinations or things where you need a lot of cards to make it work. With that in mind, I think the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take France and unfortunately put them into the very bottom of the tier list here. So France has the unfortunate aspect here of, first off, they're a secondary nation. Secondary nations are always something where it's a little weird to draft with the expectation that you're going to have a specific secondary, because the way draft works, where you don't necessarily get both nations at the very beginning of your draft. You pick the first nation, and then after a couple cards, you pick the secondary nation. This already, in my opinion, I've had one, maybe two US-France I actually was able to draft into the sort of Throp mid-range, which worked really well. Unfortunately, that's few and far between where that works out. And I honestly think the biggest nail in the coffin for France is that resistance in draft is awful. It is unreliable. You'll not get enough cards to make it work. Even when it does work, all it does is slightly disrupt your opponent for a turn. And frequently in draft, because you aren't necessarily fighting with a very well-created deck, lots of turns it seems like in draft you float resources anyway, so having a turn where you get a credit delayed impacts you a lot less in draft than it does in a constructed format. Because of all that, France, I think, comfortably slots in as probably the worst nation, honestly. And I think there's a pretty big gap between them and the next one up. Okay, so with that in mind, so they're kind of alone by themselves, in my opinion, sort of at the bottom. But let's go ahead and go down the list. So Britain. I think Britain, with the updates to the draft-specific pool, as well as the cards that they got in Homefront, I think Britain got a significant glow-up. They are having beefy units with high health that can fight for the board, makes your presence really known in draft, and it's something that your opponent definitely feels. With that said, I think Britain also got a significant amount of support in the sense of they have probably some of the most straightforward and capable board clears that now exist in this game. In Constructed, Blockade is too expensive. Paying 5 to do damage the board for 2 is not efficient. In Draft, paying 5 to do a possible board wipe and board damage is great. In addition to that, they obviously got Forward Observers, which is also a deal 2 to everything and potentially cycle. So I really think that if it wasn't for something like Crossfire that exists, but obviously that exists at a special rather than at a lower rarity, I think Britain would be the unquestioned king of board clears. And this is not even getting into stuff like any of the fight cards. Formidable is great. I feel like, obviously, I don't think you want 2 copies of it, but having 1 is awesome. You'll almost always have something you can use it on, and it will almost always result in doing a pretty darn good effect on board, if not swinging to the game in such a massive extent that it is potentially game-winning. I think Britain right now is probably the best nation in Draft. The only thing that keeps me a little hesitant is that I feel like there are some secondary nations that maybe they don't partner super well with. That said, on their own, I think their cards are outstanding. And I feel like even Homefront, the stuff that they got in Homefront, because you're constantly fighting for the board, Bond affects draft games less than it does constructed games. Because you will frequently have things that just kind of stick on the board for multiple turns just because no one is very efficient at getting rid of things. Okay, moving on to the next one, we've got Germany. Germany is in an interesting situation. I feel like they for a while had some absolutely dead drops. And unfortunately, some of those didn't really go away. And it's a little weird with the rotation for Homefront because a lot of the big German elites got neutered. However, elites getting hit hurts Constructed more than it hurts Draft. So I feel like Germany is still pretty good, but I have not been as impressed with them. If you went back to like naval warfare, I think Germany was the unquestioned king. But I think the biggest pain point that they got was that tempo can be very, very advantageous in Draft because if you start hitting drops and your opponent doesn't, it can win you games. So the Germany self-bounce stuff definitely hits them pretty hard. I don't think that the effects that you're going to get from cards are worth neutering your own pace that you're putting things on the board. So a lot of those self-bounce cards that got released in Homefront are pretty mid when it comes to a draft perspective. And the other part with Germany, oh shoot, where was I going with that? The other part is the cut of Blitz Doctrine. It's not every time that you would see Blitz Doctrine since it was a special, but it generated so much value in a draft format that it was absolutely astonishing when you got it. And that was one of those cards where it's like, cool, great, you can lock this in. I think getting Blitz Doctrine alone in a draft deck bumped it up a solid win, maybe a win and a half. Just an amazing card for draft for what it could do. That said, now with that stuff rotated and the Homefront cards looking kind of for Germany, I think they're comfortably in a B tier, but I do think they're high B. The one thing I will say is I'm not a huge fan of taking them as a secondary nation. So maybe we'll try that to see sort of how it works out, but from when I have done it, especially with a lot of the new cards, like things like Kettenkrad, for example, which is also a generator of value consistently throughout the game, those only hit German cards, making them a secondary nation kind of bad. All right, next one, Italy. So Italy still has some of, let me back up. Italy from Homefront got all of the Bersiglieri cards. I think the RM Bersiglieri is trash, and you can't draft it because you have no guarantee that you will have something that you can draw with it. which makes it a completely dead card, which you cannot draft. However, the infantry side of the Bersigliere package is very, very impactful in draft. The downside of that being that you will almost always get bonded, but the cards are impactful enough that I think they are worth playing still. That said, I don't know if you would play more than a handful of them with the expectation that, okay, you're going to bond yourself or once or twice, and then after that, then they're dead, but hopefully they made enough of an impact and swung the game in a way that makes it good for you, that they're worth playing still. I think Italy still benefits from some of the most value in a draft sense. Airstrips is an amazing card for generating value since it is both a bomber, which is great in draft, it tends to stick around, it also acts as a pseudo board clear, and you get Roma, which is a good direct target damage card, and they just have some of the most efficient removal in the game. So I think they comfortably slot in at A. I think they can pair well with basically anybody. The only thing that's a little awkward is that some of their units that are not the Bersigliere are kind of trash. I forget what the tank is that forces retreats on all your own units, but like that is garbage in a draft format. And something like the I forgot what is it, the Simavore, the heavy armor anti-tank gun that basically deals double damage and got buffed recently. I think that's a good card for draft, but obviously it's a special, so you won't see it that frequently. All right, next one. So next we have Japan. Japan is interesting. I feel like I need to play some more with Japan to really get a good ranking of them. I think previously, when I would draft Japan, I would kind of try and force Japan aggro and just go underneath whoever I'm playing against, and that would be extraordinarily draft dependent. Sometimes it would work, sometimes it wouldn't. It basically was either this 7-0s or this 0-3s, and there's no in between. However, with all of the stuff that they got in this expansion, I think the stuff that you'll see from Japan more, and what I'm hoping that maybe I can draft it and try it out today, is a more actually supported mid-range Japan deck. So obviously they got reintroduced some of those, what was it, the 4/4 destruction draw card, and it's a guard unit. That would be solid. The cards from Homefront that are all the bonded guard cards seem like they potentially could fit in there, along with some HQ burn. And then you also have cards that are pretty good just in general that always sort of fill out Japan. Japan probably has some of the second most efficient board clear in this game. If you can get it on the Ascent, being in the draft pool is still astonishing. It has single-handedly won games, or has caused me to lose them when I've forgotten that it's there as an option. That said, I think that Japan, just because they kind of get pulled in a couple different directions, it can be a little awkward to draft them. I don't think it's as straightforward as some of the other nations, but if you can draft well, I think they do sit slightly above Germany. Come on. Sort of in that B tier, but high B. Alright, next card is Poland. Okay, so Poland is interesting. Poland has some cards which are just complete garbage. I actually think that basically everything they got from Homefront is trash and not worth drafting. But that doesn't stop that some of the things that they already had available to them still stays as good as it was previously. Tarnow, excuse me, which I realize is a constructed monster, is a much more iffy in draft. But the cards that they have that are like a significant amount of the exile cards can end up being good. Like the what is it? The Firefly, or whatever the Sherman is that is the exile card that gives +1/+1 is always kind of a brutal draft drop. The one that gives everything +1/+1 if an opponent puts a unit in the front line is like slows the game down tremendously. So they have some very high-end cards, but a significant amount of cards that you never want to see. I frequently find myself, if I do have Poland as a secondary nation, almost always my deck is like 36 main nation cards and like 3 Polish cards. which is just not where you want to sit if you want to, like, as a secondary and especially as a minor. Ideally, you need to be in a position where your cards are so good that you should almost always be drafting the minor nation cards when they come up over your main nation cards if you are a minor nation. And I guess that leads me into Finland. In my opinion, Finland is the other S tier. I do not have it available in this cards list, but Finland as a minor nation is the correct power level of what a minor nation should be in the draft format. Almost always, the Finnish cards are just so good that you will have a Finnish card and then 2 main nation cards, and I'd say 75% of the time you pick the Finnish card. The 3/3 Blitz Shock Draw card guy is amazing. Everything they got in Homefront is super good in draft. Like the ability to gain HQ defense, guard, ambush, like give things bonuses with combat keywords, which almost always you'll have a smattering of. Like, even if you're not building for it, you'll like have stuff with blitz and whatever. That's just suddenly it's like, oh, cool, it's an extra +1/+1 on a thing that's already a decent drop at 4 with the Coastal Battalion. And I'm not even going to get into the absolute frustrating thing that is decoy tactics. I have not had it in draft yet, but I will 100% pick it because it seems like just the most brutal draft card to play against. I think Finland is another S. All right, next one. We're talking through USA real quick. USA, I don't think changed too much, if I'm going to be honest. I think the Warcry effects from the US cards is better in draft because you're more likely to see it. And I've had a couple decks with US where I've tried to lean very heavy into that, even to the extent where I was offered Victory Garden and drafted it. Unfortunately, even in draft, some of those cards are too slow. Unlike in Constructed, I think the Hellcat with the Bond Fury, Warcry itself, and the top card of your deck, I think in draft is slow enough that this actually works okay. I still don't think it's great. That said, I think I like the US just because they still have pretty good, they have a good ability to stick on the board. They tend to have things that benefit from having units around, which again, in draft, it's hard to clear out the board. So things like the Armored Infantry, which gives you a Sherman, which ends up drawing you cards. Frequently, you'll be able to battle for the front line and be able to draw. So they usually have good card draw. Ramp can be very powerful in draft just because the decks are so inconsistent and generally like costs are all over the place. So you'll almost always have credits to be able to War Machine and then make yourself work faster in the future. I think US comfortably sits sort of at the low A tier. They still have some things which just are not draftable. Again, anything that's like a Throp card is something where you almost never will draft it except for maybe the Airborne card that's the 1 cost 3/2 shock for 3 op, where okay, this threatens a trade inefficiently, and then just sort of sticks around. But otherwise, the other 3 op cards are just it's gross if you end up needing to play those and if you need to operate them. Last one is Soviet, and I think Soviet is, out of all of the main nations, probably got some of the best cards for the draft format. In the drafts I've played so far, I've been very, very impressed with the keyword soup style of play that the new Soviet cards introduced. So I think in Constructed, for example, the 4-cost guard infantry, that's the 2/5 guard blitz, give a random keyword to any unit you add or play or deploy. In Constructed, that's too slow. In draft, the value that generates just starts to scale to a degree that is pretty astonishing. And I've been very impressed with it. I've still sometimes drawn absolute crap with it. For instance, throwing smokescreen on a guard unit, which you can't have, so it's just a waste, and it doesn't do anything. But every now and then, you get shock on a blitzer, you get blitz on a shocker, you get heavy armor that lets you have a unit survive trades that it wouldn't normally. Even Fury can sometimes be decent when it gets on there. So I've been really impressed with that, and I feel like they have enough cards that actually provide a combo effect for that it ends up being stronger than you would think, just because there are so many combat keywords already in the game that you would naturally draft. So unlike things like the Bersagliere package, Resistance, um, like those are ones where you really have to have like the full package to make it work. With the Soviet cards, because they go off of random combat keywords, or excuse me, not necessarily random, but because they go off of combat keywords which already exist and are very prevalent in the game, having a couple combat keyword bonuses, for instance the KV-1S, I found it to be very, very painful for opponents to deal with. And I'm a huge fan of 6 motor rifles because it already has 2 combat keywords on it, and anything that helps buff combat keywords just punches so far above their weight that it is very, very good. I'm slotting them in behind Italy, but above the U.S. I think that Soviet is definitely one of the ones that, in my opinion, moved the furthest up the tier list from where they were at previously. Okay, I think that's where I'm settling for now. So now I think we're going to go ahead and open up cards, and we'll launch that up, and we'll start kicking off some drafts here. Okay, got our daily missions. Do the usual. Pick up the free cards. I think I've got all these already, but you never know. Doesn't hurt to get them. Alright, let's hop into draft. Okay, so we've got Britain, Japan, Soviets. So I am interested in building the sort of Japan mid-range deck. Yeah, let's go ahead and try that out. Let's see what that looks like. So let's go ahead and try and build that. Japan. So the first card we get, 2 copies of Shadow Strike, Sunrise Division, or Ryusei. I feel like Ryusei is a great card. This allows you to do things on the board that your opponent would not expect. It comes down early enough that it can usually blitz something off of the board. And I've been very mixed on Shadow Strike. I realize that it can cause a unit to trade very easily. I frequently find that the smokescreen effect does not actually ever go off. And 2 copies of it is kind of in my opinion. So I think it is Ryusei, no question. Okay. 34th Infantry. So 1 cost 0 op. So this would definitely push me more towards the aggro style, which I don't really want to try and play. Like I said, kind of want to play the sort of mid-range. So the question is, Duty Bound or Imperial Order? I think 3 copies of Imperial Order is too many. 2 copies of Duty Bound is okay. This is enough that I will draft more if we see it. So we'll see that, hopefully. Okay. 3-1 ambush for a 5-3 for Kagoshima. HQs cannot gain defense. I'm not usually worried about too much when it comes to the HQ gain. I do like Defeat in Detail quite a lot, because it is something that can just completely knock your opponent off the board. It tends to work well if you have things that can ping the opponent. So if I had something like, what is it, the Shibuya Regiment that deals 1 when the opponent plays an order, I would absolutely draft that automatically. As it is, let's draft that and just kind of keep it in mind. Okay, so we've got Poland, Finland, US as our ally. If we're going more mid-range, I think actually any of these could work. I think, if we want to go more mid-range air, I think we would draft US. If we're going to go more mid-range and fight for the board and like frontline it, then I think Finland. So I think let's go Finland. Okay, so immediately we get 3 Finnish cards. So Order of the Day adds 2 sissies, which then get more expensive to attack. gosh, having a copy of that is okay. Having three is, in my opinion, probably too many. Um, Light Detachment 15 is, in my opinion, surprisingly good. Frequently, it acts as a good thing to slow opponents down. It's a little iffy when you play it in the if you don't play it early in the game, just because it usually then dies as a 1/4 and then did not do a whole lot. Um, I do like Pack, especially if you have unit buffers, because it starts to get pretty gnarly for the opponent to deal with. Um, but I think in this case, I will take the Light Detachment with the expectation that, hey, that'll probably be our one drop, and then we're going to be playing stuff behind it to buff it up slowly. Next thing, we have 3 copies of Pack, which I don't really want 3 of those. Command Failure and Dark Deeds. I think in this case, I will take Command Failure. It's a pretty good removal that hits a lot of British stuff because they will almost always have more defense than attack. So it's just 3 costs, remove something beefy. Next one is last 2 copies of Duty Bound Osaka, which is a 5 cost 4/7 guard, which is a solid card for this deck. I think if that came up later, I would draft it. And Underfire, which I've had mixed success with. Usually I find that that's better with... I feel like burn in draft is so iffy that you can't really go in with that expectation, but it does make enemy turns awkward. That said, I think in this case, we'll just complete the playset of Duty Bound. Okay. Oh, boy. Oh, this is a hard one. Okay. So, like I said before, good combination with Defeat and Detail is something like Shibata, which causes pings to the opponent, which can get buffs, which lets it potentially get out of control and make your opponent not want to play orders. That said, those are commons. Commit the Reserves is a special, and Commit the Reserves is probably one of the best removals in the game. Even with the credit slot loss, I feel like that is less painful in draft than it is other places. Aichi can be good, but I think in this case it's Commit the Reserves. Okay, so we've got 1 copy of Dragon Slayer, 3 copies of Utsunomiya. 4/6 when the enemy gives an order, deal 2 damage. I wouldn't want 3 copies of that. Strike from the Woods can be good. In this case, I think having 1 copy of Dragon Slayer to guarantee the veteran is always solid. Okay, I do not want a second Defeat in Detail. That's probably too much. We're definitely very order heavy right now, so we want units. I don't really want Sasebo, unfortunately, but it does cycle itself, and it is very cheap to get down on 1. Overpower in a draft format is interesting. It can basically be a win card against any US deck, because frequently they will have Brewsters and they will try and lean into that. Things like Air Cover are such good cards and so efficient that Overpower can help counter that. Unfortunately, it does practically nothing against Britain, which it frequently ends up being a dead card. So I'll take Sasebo. If for no other reason than it cycles itself, it's cheap to play. Maybe we'll get some synergy for shuffle, but I doubt it. But it's not that painful. Okay, we have 2 copies of Tora Tora. 5th Regiment, when you lose a credit slot, the unit gets 2/1 on the battlefield or -2 cost in hand. We do have Commit the Reserves, but obviously I don't want to lean into credit denial. That's not something where there's enough cards to really make that work as a archetype. Or just the Chiha infantry has +1 attack. This one's actually kind of tough. If we had more things that would potentially cause credit loss than just Commit the Reserves, I might take 5th Regiment. But I think in this case, I will take the Chiha. We'll see where that takes us. Okay, we've got Claude, which is 2 cost 2/3, give another unit -1 op cost. I don't really value that deployment very highly, if I'm going to be honest, and it's a pretty mid-plane otherwise. Engage at range, deal 2 damage to an enemy, convert it if it's, for the Emperor. All Japanese units operate cheaper, have a bonus attack, so it's kind of the thing to blow them off the board. We already have stuff to try and blow them off the board, so I don't think we need For the Emperor. Do we want to pay 2, deal 2 for engage? Because we don't have a great way to put it back in the deck. I don't. I'm not a huge fan of any of these. I think I'll take Claude just because it's a unit. It's a cheap fighter. It potentially, reduces an op cost somewhere that is impactful. Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Okay, Jungle Warfare is probably one of the worst hits out of the rotation, honestly. It is very expensive, and the frequency with which you'll have stuff where you care about triggering destruction effects is pretty low. So I do not want 2 copies of that. I still don't want three copies of Imperial Order. So I think in this case I will take Order of the Day. It gets some infantry on the board. We're only taking 1 card slot with it. And sissies can certainly keep the board clear. Okay, so we have Molotov, Kyoto, and 2 copies of Coastal Howitzer. So Coastal Howitzer can be very awkward for opponents to play against just because it threatens to do a lot of damage to units that, they can't avoid and they can't counterattack with. However, the op cost makes it difficult to actually use in any way. So I think in this case, we'll take the Kyoto. Having the removal is just always great. Okay, so we have the Gecko, Osaka Regiment, or Stridsgruppen. Man, it's always something where if you knew what you were going to draw later, like if I knew that I was going to get offered Gecko, man, all the burn cards start to look kind of tasty. However, in this case, I think Osaka is just so efficient that I'm just going to take Osaka and go to the next one. All right, we do not have salvage synergy. I'm not a fan of Honorable Death. Just not, in my opinion, a card that's... it's so awkward. It can be good as removal, but I think we already have some decent removal. We probably don't need to put ourselves -1 to get removal. That's only still attack of 3 or less, which has a good amount of things that it will never hit. So I think it will be Tenzen. We don't really have any other pin synergy, but who knows? Maybe we'll get the TK or something like that and make that actually playable. Okay, well, speak of the devil, Shirakumo does the exact same effect. Obviously, it's a 7-cost 2-card combo to destroy a card, and I think Shirakumo on its own is pretty trash. Just healing your HQ for 2 isn't very good. Drive into the Sea. I've not played with this in Draft. Removing a unit from the battlefield, returning it to hand. How do I rate that? So that clears the path for 2 turns. So if your opponent drops a big guard, it allows you to potentially swing, goes to their turn, they can't play it because it's not back in their hand yet, comes back to you, you can swing again. The frequency with which they will not have something else to respond means that lots of times I feel like this is used as a I'm getting lethal this turn card. I'll draft 1 just to test it out. I don't think it's very good, but we'll see. Okay, well, I just said I will draft 1. I don't want a second Drive into the Sea. Mixed Regiment. So we do have Sasebo to shuffle. I don't think we have any other shuffle synergies. So that's usually just a 3-cost 3/4 infantry. Yeah, I'm not... So... So in my opinion, it's between these two. Coastal Howitzer is awkward because we're halfway through the draft, and right now I still don't feel like we have a way to actually kill our opponent. So taking another thing that can't attack their HQ is an interesting choice. But do I just want a basically vanilla 3-cost 3/4 infantry? I think it is more likely we will get shuffle synergy than we will get something else that makes the coastal howitzer worth taking. Okay, so got Regiment 61, got Mahdi Tactic, and we have 2 copies of Toyama Regiment. I really like the destruction, targeted destruction of Mahdi. 7 cost destroy and salvage is, I mean, even just 7 cost destroy is can be potentially worth it. Things that are being played for their deployment effect. I'm trying to think. How many things do you care about deploying that you'd be hitting with Mahdi with a 1/1? I mean, as far as drawing, there might be something. We only have 3 finish cards, so we will have a good chance that we see more salvages. Toyama is... Ambush Guard is a good combination, and that comes down... I think it might take, strangely, the 2 Toyamas, just because right now we ideally need to have something that actually fights us for the board, and these come down a little late. I mean, Infantry Regiment 61's okay, but I think let's take Toyama and see where we go. I wish this was the other 0. The other 0 is much better, in my opinion. That said, I think as a 4/3 ambush fighter, they're hard to deal with. I don't expect the countermeasures thing to ever really come up, but you never know. Okay, so this is where we get the question of do we lean into shuffle synergy or not? Dealing 1 damage, doing nothing else but shuffling. Oh man, I wish we had more than 1 shuffle card. Because we don't really get a whole lot out of that. I think I'm going to take Jaeger Battalion. Just a 4-cost 3/5 ambush guard is nasty on its own. Adding a sissy is just the cherry on top. Okay. So this is some card draw. It's inefficient card draw because we will not get the 2 or more lost credit slots most likely unless we get a second commit the reserves or something like that. We do not have card draw otherwise. And we haven't seen any expansions, which is usually the thing that you would want to actually have in Japan to be featured as your card draw engine. Because it is so much more efficient than One Roof. Let's see, if I got offered expansions in the future, would I take them even if I take One Roof now? Probably. So yeah, I think I will take the 2 One Roofs and move on. Interesting. Okay, Kanazawa. It's 5 cost 5/5. Does the heal 2, deal 2. How many things do we have that causes units to leave the battlefield? I know we've got... This is destroy, so that command does not work with that. We have Kyoto, we have drive into the sea. Those are the 2. So we have 2 things that can potentially trigger that, and all of the pin destroy. I have not had a chance to play with Kanazawa yet, so I do want to actually try it out. We have a couple things that it can pair with. So I'm going to draft it just as a test and see where we go from there. Okay. I like 33rd Recon. Draw is always needed. Lodesfard is also a great card. I feel like we are not really flooding the board for Lodesfard to hit a bunch of things, unfortunately. Yeah, let's just take 33 Recon and hope our draw is sorted. Okay. I think for this one, I will take a single copy of Strike from the Woods. I do not rate scrap metal very highly, especially 3 copies of it. Single copy of Strike from the Woods can work with our Tenzan, and even if it just slows our opponent down and adds a sissy, I think that would be okay. Okay, we get Naval Supply Run, Amphibious Assault, Infantry Regiment 11. 3 copies of that, and 2 copies of Amphib Assault. I have not played with Naval Supply Run. You're effectively... It starting your next turn, discard a card. So this is something where, again, if we were playing an aggro deck, that would be great. Unfortunately, I feel like we're almost always going to have something in our hand that gets hit with that. And I don't know if we have enough stuff. How many things on the board would you be comfortable paying 2 cards to give things 2/1 for? You'd probably need 3 things on the board. Even that would be iffy. Ideally 4 things, because if you have 4 things, you get +8/+4 for 2 cards and 3 credits. How many times are we going to have 4 or more things on the board? Probably not many. That said, I've not played with this yet, so again, I will take it with the expectation that I don't think it's very good, but we'll try it out. Okay, Salvage Synergy with Out of the Mist, a couple copies, 2 more Toyama Regiments, and Shibata. I think in this case, we have how many 1-drops do we have? We actually have a decent amount of 1-drops, but a lot of them are... No. We'd play Light Detachment on 1, Sasebo on 1, Recon on 1, so we've got 4 1-drops. And yeah, I think we'll take another 1-drop with Shibata. I think we take Otsu just as a threat in the air. It seems like air is how we're finishing games here, so we've got... If we have Zeke, Otsu, and Dragon Slayer, I think those are all big threatening game enders. So we'll take that. Takasaki, 151st, or the Tony. Okay. So this one, I think I can see an argument for any of them. Tony being another big beefy plane in the air to threaten to end games. Takasaki being a guard for the air units that basically always at least 2-for-1s with the card destroy or card discard. However, I think I will take 151st. These Swiss Army knives of cards from Homefront seem to be very, very good in draft. The ability to pick out an exact thing that you want, and especially 151st, since these cards are all very useful for either board flooding, draw, or removal, I think is an easy pick up there. I think Shohei Detachment is pretty good for this. 5/1 Covert, it basically always trades and cycles itself. I think that's a fine 3-drop. Alright, so we've got Kofu, Tony, and Under Fire. I really hate that Kofu is bonded. Unfortunately, I think frequently we want to drop that on 2, and we may or may not have a turn 1 play. Do we want Tony for another high-end card? I think we might. So we will take Tony. Awkward. I don't really want 2 geckos. So this is an immediate no. Dug in. So as far as draw goes, we've got Recon. We've got the cycle from... Shohei. We've got potentially expansion from 151st. And we've got One Roof. Using a card, putting Shifting Doctrine back in your deck, it is slow, and I guess it goes technically even on cards, because effectively you're drawing the 2 cards to replace the Dug In and Shifting Doctrine that you've drawn, but Shifting Doctrine requires you to put a card back into your deck before drawing, so you're effectively trading 3 cards for 2 cards. I think I will take the second order of the day. I really don't want a third. Okay, we have second Tony. We have the Finnish BF-109. And we have Type 93. If this were an aggro list, I feel like it would be Type 93s, no question. For this list, do we want second Tony or do we want the 109? I think a lot of our 3-drops are not very aggressive. Um, yeah, a lot of our 3-drops are not very aggressive except for Otsu and arguably Shohei. I think 109 forces an answer, so we'll take a 109. Infantry Regiment 25 just seems very, very good. I have been enjoying that a lot. Rima Suse gives us card draw. Oh god, this is our last card. Okay, I really would have liked something better than Rima Suse as sort of the high end at the very end of the list there. But that's okay. All right. Okay. All right, I will update the explanation here. We want, ideally, the light detachment. Shibata is fine on 1. We'll see what they do. The thing that I don't have great trades in... Okay, they didn't end up doing anything. I guess I can duty-bound push. Do we get much out of that? Duty-bound push, and we can play Otsu behind it. The worry here is they play something and then hit rush. That's kind of gross. So we can't commit the reserves to kill that. I think we just drop Otsu. Do nothing. If that was their best play to drop Bryansk, then I'm not that worried. Obviously, if they rush it, then we might have a little bit of an issue here, but I would have no... Okay, so we don't know what their secondary nation is. Do we think they're playing any Germany? We can commit the reserves hit face for 5, which I think we will do. Cold trap. Okay. That is unfortunate. Okay. Finland was the other option with the countermeasure. That sucks. All right. Well. Yeah, unfortunately, they just trade into me very well. I think we can drop this. We now actually know that they are playing countermeasures, so that does make it very awkward for them. I guess we could have done 2 damage to the battalion here. But... oh, boy. Okay. Can infantry regiment pass? This is the problem, is that I feel like we don't have a great way of removing... We don't have a great way of removing guard units like this. It's very awkward. Extended barrage. Okay. That's fine. Alright, order of the day is unfortunately very awkward because the heavy armor one of the tank means they trade out easily for it. I don't really know what else we have as far as options, unfortunately. We don't have a great way to get through the 3-5 guard ambush of Jaeger. I think we can throw down mixed regiment, and then at least we can trade off with the T-34. If they move hit, they'll deal 1 to themselves, and then we can trade and shock. Does require them to hit if they want to do that. Okay. Okay, they move that up. Okay, we can shock hit into the Jaeger. That changed things. I'll make it a 4-3 for the shock, or a 5-6. So this would make that a 4-3, which would trade with the tank. I think we play 109. And we just threaten. Usually we'll draw clears. Suppress. Alright. Yep. And they have hero factories. Well, that's unfortunate. And that's a brutal card to get just automatically in the front line like that. Okay, I think we can strike from the woods to pin. I don't really want to trade off a card. Yeah, this is awkward. No matter what, we're trading off a card to deal with the ambush and then throwing the Sissy in there. And then probably playing Sissy from the hand. Or order of the day. Are you going to hammer my Sissy? An interesting choice. I have to assume this is separate battalion has just been building the whole game. And it's going to hit me for like 12. Ugh, gross. Okay, that's not what I want. I mean, I think we trade that off. How long has that been on the board? It's been on the board a while. I guess we duty bound try to hit into it. Let's see what it is. Oh, it's not. Okay, well, the trade still works. We can Sasebo and Order of the Day. This allows us to hit Sasebo, trade a Sissy in to their Jodomir? Jadomir? Maybe be better with the numbers on the cards. Hello. Yeah, we can lock that down. All right. That is awkward. Okay, we can duty bound one of the guys, clear the Finnish boys, and then trade into the tank. Yeah. That's not good. Yeah, driving the sea just doesn't do anything here. Because it protects my own unit for a turn, but I don't really... Like, if he makes this trade, I think I'm okay with that. Yeah. I didn't bring it up in the card review, but the other thing that's really improved with Soviets in this expansion is the stickiness of their cards. Both this bonded sticky boy and the other, the 1/4 guard that drops 1/3 guard, Second order of the day. Okay, well, this is why I didn't want more than one of these, is that I feel like you can find yourself in this position where it's like, this is just not where you want to be. Where technically, yeah, sure, this goes 2-for-1 in a lot of situations. Unfortunately, sometimes you just find yourself in a spot where you are so... Oh my god. Well, must be nice to get an elite card that's good. Alright, well that's just going to end the game for them. There's nothing I can do. Yeah, because we can trade. He advances. I mean, might as well play it out. But I think this is an L. We don't have any board clears, unfortunately. Yeah, because, let's see, what are the Japanese board clears? On the Ascent is obviously an amazing board clear. Then we've got the deal 2 credits to everything, lose a credit slot. Or deal 2 damage to everything, lose a credit slot. Which, also didn't see that one. Yep. So I think we survive a turn. But then we are just going to lose. I guess we could have bonded this guy to remove it. Drive into the sea. I have Blitz. It doesn't have Blitz. That would have saved us another turn. Yeah, Dragon Slayer. Alright, well. 0-1. Update the record on the stream here. Okay. And cue to the next game. Let's see. So I think probably... What happened there? So obviously we just didn't have the ability to fight for the board. I think we just... All of our low drops are pretty weak cards. We just don't have the ability to be sticky, which makes things very awkward, because then later in the game, the way that we have board impact is we have a lot of low health, high attack ambush units, which if you've already lost the front line, isn't going to win you the front line. So, no, I think this just did not go very well. Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't get any of the beefier, not Kofu Regiment, the other one, the like, what is it, 3/4 guard, deal 2, heal 2, or even the 4/4 guard, draw a card on destruction. Those are the two that I was looking to actually play around with. I think we dump everything and we keep the 109. Okay. We have light detachment on 1. That's nice. Yep. Obviously, them having a guard makes 109 not as good, but the A5M4 can help clear the way. Okay, they don't have a 2-drop, so we can just make that a little cheaper. Leave in the back line, protect the planes. We can... Okay, they don't have a 3-drop. If we're trying to be credit efficient, we can drop 109. And then turn 4 can be swing, swing, hit face. Let's drop Toyama. Ah, first responders. Okay. Alright, so they're sort of flooding the board themselves. So this counters everything except for the 4/8. So we can continue to slam stuff down on the board. I think we will want to commit the reserves, the 4/8. We don't have a great reply to that. We can... Swing for 2 in the air. Let's play Dragon Slayer. That's a big threat. 6/4 fighter is pretty chunky. Okay, gonna move that forward. Clear up space. Nice. Okay, command failure makes this turn a lot easier, I think. I think we can command failure that guy, clear the front line, and then shoot here. So we're threatening 8 airstrips. So Dragon Slayer is getting Roama'd, because it's going to take 1 from the Breda. I think we can buff that, clear the Breda, punch face. So this is getting hit for sure. Yep. No. Are they going to throw the tank into it? I'm very confused on that sequence of events. I think we guard and hit face. Unless they have another clear. But they already played the Roma so quickly. Ah, supply shortage. Okay. So that does mean that we want to trade stuff off. So... Ah, actually we can just commit the reserves, go face, and win. Okay. That worked significantly better. Our opponent was pretty slow that time around, which was nice to see. So we're 1-1. Recoup. Yeah, Dragon Slayer is just such a brutal attacking card if you have a way to let it keep getting through to the HQ. I do not know why they Roma'd the 4/2 ambush guy instead of the Dragon Slayer, because I realized that they didn't have great trades, but that also wasn't threatening damage. I think we toss these 3. Do we keep the 109 on the draw? Or not on the draw, on first play? Against a Japan player? Let's keep it. I realize I probably overvalue that card, but I just like it too much. 33rd Recon is a good duty-bound target. I do like that. Just because it can make things kind of awkward. We'll do that. We push up, I guess. We can push up Sasebo for free. If they play something small enough. Oh, okay. I mean, we can defeat in detail, punch face. This has blitz, so it hits, drops another one. We can make this awkward for them. Do we want to go that aggressive? We don't really have much in the way of follow-up. So even if he trades off the Sasebo, we have a scaling draw engine. Because if this hits and you put down another two cost blitzer, that can't operate. I mean, hit dug in. Okay. I think I'm okay with that exchange. So we can now drop 109 hit face. Very awkward. We're floating a credit no matter what we do. This makes this a 3-2. So this would trade with the fighter. In turn 5, this can move up, hit, and we can play another 3 behind it. Because if he spends 2 op on the fiat operating that, just to trade it off, he's still pretty far behind on a tempo. Oh, of course he has that. I forgot about that. Okay. We can... Did he draw off of that guy? I don't think so. So we can 109. He doesn't have a great response. He doesn't want to operate the fiat. We can light detachment 109. 109 move, hit face. So far, he's not had great options for responses. This is not helping any. If he drops something big, we can Kyoto it. Make it awkward to deal with. And continue punching face. 6 creds, we can drop any of the 3 cred. Okay. That is... That actually is awkward. We can't Ryusei it. We can... Got rid of his Sabe. I mean, he has at least some shuffle synergy because he dug in, right? He can... Sendai is a 4-drop, so he can Sendai remove my Kyoto Regiment. Roma. Okay. Roma's... Okay. That awkwardly lands not where he wants it to, which is funny. But that... Yeah, we still can't clear to get the Ryusei in there. But we can deal 6, which puts him at 5. Drop our own Toyama. Light detachment Toyama. Should have swung first, obviously. Because who knows what I could have gotten off the top of his deck. I wouldn't have played that, but would have been good to know. Alright, he makes the clear. He's got to swing into the light detachment with the fighter if he wants to keep the life gain up. We can take the front line. That would be 2-3. If he hits there, we can trade off the Ryusei with his fiat, but I don't really want to make the trade. I want him to continue needing to pay to operate that. So I think we probably 109 his face, drop him to 4, see what happens. Okay, we can't do that. Interesting. Does that provide lethal somehow? We can Ryusei, supply run. This becomes a 4-3. If he wants to trade off the fiat, he can. Mare Nostrum. Okay. He would still need to trade the fiat away. This being a 6-3 with ambush guard in the front line is pretty brutal. I hope we don't toss one roof. Do I have anything that provides any amount of reach? I don't think I have blitz tanks. We have Shibata, technically. Ah. You remove that. Okay. He bonds himself to play that. We can play Jaeger. He does not want to make any trades. I think we draw first and then Jaeger. Ooh, we can drop that expansion. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. That could deal 3. Oh, I should have taken Amphibious. I'm an idiot. I was so blinded by the... Oh my god, I'm dumb. I'm so stupid. Oh my god. Wow. God, I hope there's no one watching. That is wildly embarrassing. That is a misplay. It wouldn't have been lethal, actually, because he would have had... Like, this would have dealt 2 health... Heal 2, deal 2. So he would have had 2 health left, but I would have been able to hit that swing face. He would have been at 2. But still, that would have put him in a crazy awkward spot. Okay. Dragon Slayer is good in this situation. Let's draw first, though. We can Dragon Slayer Shibata. Light Detachment. I guess we can push this because it's guarded, right? And we can... Light Detachment. Shibata Mixed Regiment. This threatens a lot of damage through random sources, because now if he's going to look at that and say, oh, if he shuffles, I take damage. If I play orders, I take damage. And the 2-3 shock clears at least one of his guards in the next turn. Which is going to make it awkward for him, because he doesn't want... Oh, I guess he can clear off Sendai. I should have left a space on the board for Sendai to give me back. Underfire... He takes a ping to do it. Shifting Doctrine takes a ping to do it. Oh my god, dude. Stop. Now would be the turn for him to trade off Sendai. Because I don't get the unit back with my front line, or my back line full. Yep. You gotta trade something else and do it now. Like the Fiat. Yep. And then you can trade off, hit 3-4 into the 2-2. Interesting choice. Okay, well with the Fiat gone, we can now push. So I'm going to push that. Let's beef it up. Now we can drop Dragon Slayer. Push this guy. And I think we hold the rest and pass. So with the 2/2 still on the board, with it being able to shock, that can clear the way. We are threatening lethal as it stands now. Because this clears this, hits, he goes up to 7, we hit. So it requires him to be proactive with trading things off. Yep, that makes sense. He needs to get rid of the shock guy, because otherwise the 4/2 ambush goes away. But unfortunately, he's got to have something else in hand. Deal 0-2 to any target. Dealt 1. I don't know if he wanted to do it to that guy, unless he's got another order in hand. Naval engagement. Okay. Well, I think that's still lethal, because we hit. Ah, it's not lethal. He did manage to save himself with that. I mean, your turn is over. You have no mana left. I guess we can drop Jaeger to keep the pressure on. This clears that off. This clears that off, and we punch face, which puts him at 2. He's got to clear the front line to not immediately just lose. If we ever have anything that causes things to leave, so we've got the bonded effect, that's a win. Empire of the Sun for 9 to draw. He needs to deal 2 damage somehow. I mean, we already saw his rank convoy attack, which he could high roll and deal 2. I hate that card, by the way. Deal 0 to 2 damage is dumb. Alright, he's praying. He did not win the prayer. And dug in. Okay. It does actually save him. I did not think about dug in being a 0-cost card, but yep. I think we just push this. Play another guy behind it. If somehow he has a guard, this does heal us if that thing needs to attack. Command failure, if he plays a big defensive guy, can clear the way. Okay. Two, 1. Alright. Queue up again. All right, so playing Soviets. I mean, I think we want. We've got plenty of 3-drops. We'll get something. We kind of wow. And immediately my deck proves me wrong. I was hoping for the light detachment. That's at least something. I'll be interested if they hit into that or not. I feel like people sometimes think Shibata is very threatening. Okay, nope, they go face with that. They don't have a follow-up. Okay. I think we pass, just let them hit face again, which is unfortunate, but that's fine. Toyama deals with Kolm pretty reasonably. Obviously they can rush. Oh, stretch the line. Okay. So, Soviet Poland. Okay. So, we drop Toyama. Not good at taking the front line, but at least stops them from just continuing to deal damage. Also protects our Shibata to continue to do pings, I guess. 2/3 Blitz tank. They can double trade if they want. I don't think they want to. Can Jaeger. If they want to trade into the Sissy with any one of these 3, they are more than welcome to. Otherwise, Jaeger threatens to do a lot of work to this board, I think. This is kind of the point where if we wanted to supply run, this is enough units that I feel like it would be threatening. It would effectively clear everything. We'd get a lot more stats available to us. All right, they sickle the sissy. We can hit the Legion even if they play another intel card. Respite. That's awkward. That unfortunately makes it very... We can commit the reserves. Ambush plane doesn't do much. 4/7 guard helps a bit. They can double trade into this guy to clear it out. Naval supply run doesn't change the math there. They can still double trade and leave everything on the board. We can commit the reserves that kill the Legion's hit tank, which turns it into a 3/3. They would then have to double trade into the Jaeger to kill it. Osaka they can double trade into and it leaves stuff on the board. I think this is the best play. And I can duty bound make this a 2/4 to make it awkward to trade into. So they can double swing here, they can double swing here, but either way they double swing and trade. And if they don't, then I can hit on the next turn before this evolves. Because what is the veteran for this guy? Draw card, deal 2. Okay. It becomes a 2/3 when it veterans, so it actually gets weaker when it veterans, so maybe I don't care about trading into that. I will eventually. Extended barrage. Okay. You're just going to hit face for 6? Okay. So now I think we can drop Osaka and be happy with how things went. So now if they want... They've got 5 credits. If they have some... Okay. They had a way to answer that. So I think we can play Chiha, hit. Trades the board. Leaves them nothing in the front line. Next turn, we don't have great command failure targets. Naval supply is still not something that we really want to play right now. Don't have a great way to sneak Zeke into the front line. Oof. Okay, that is probably going to be the command failure target. That is awkward for them to trade into. I think we drop this. If we naval supply run and hit command failure, we would be very sad. So the question is, Zeke or One Roof? Zeke starts to threaten HQ damage, so I think we drop Zeke. Because if they move this guy up, I'm assuming that they'll pass, hit, move, they'll have 7 credits. Arctic Convoy, okay. Oh, brutal. Brutal drop. Okay, that probably wraps it up for us then. That is just too efficient, and we'll do too good a job at clearing our board, because that deals with the ambush. I mean, I think we have to command failure this. We can full trade. Because that kills everything. If we full trade, we drop Mixed Regiment. Pass. Yeah, this has put us pretty far behind, unfortunately. There was not a... Unfortunately, yeah, naval supply run. Oh, Kirkunas. Okay, yep. Shit. That is a bummer. Are you going to shoot base? Yeah. We just do not have a great response to the Soviet, like, aggressive decks here. We can draw. I mean, not necessarily aggressive, but just they're so efficient. Even if we play Dragon Slayer, does that do anything? I feel like they just trade into it with the tank. I don't know if we have another play, though. It is a threat. I would expect that they just trade the KV-1S into that unless they have another 52k. 52k is just a brutal card. It is so efficient at clearing out planes. Fuck me. Alright, well, that's that. Not much. Second 52k. I guess there are a lot of plane decks running around, man, but there's... That is insane. Alright. Lost against the second 52k. That is hard to believe. Alright. Is the... Alright, how are we looking here? Again, I think we toss, looking for light detachment. 33rd or Shibata are also good one drops. If they actually put something down on one, I think Shibata is the better actual one drop, because if they want to do something like Land Girls or... Oh, well, there you go. They bond themselves and Shibata, so that is a chunky hit. I think we just Claude reduce. We don't push. We can buff Claude, hit with Claude, or play Toyama, depending on what they do. Retreat. Okay. They get pinged for that. I mean, we can replay Shibata, hit with Claude. We can play Shohei. If they retreated that, I assume that means they want to play other orders. So let's put that back on the play. We can play Toyama now, protect Claude. No, we can't do that because we want to attack with Claude. Okay. 3-5. That is awkward. Steal damage are pinned. That is his whole turn to advance and hit with that, though. We can... Buffing Toyama doesn't do anything. We can advance Shibata, buff, hit face. Because next turn we can Toyama hit face. The thing I'm worried about is playing against Britain. He's probably got pretty beefy guard units that he can potentially throw down. Which stops this Claude aggression, air quotes. I don't know. I'm now questioning whether or not it was even worth attacking with Claude this many times, because... Okay. We haven't seen his secondary nation. that dumb? Toyama hit face? Does he... Is this... Nope, he just floated 3 credits. What is in his hand? Okay, well, he can move shoot, and that's 4. But if he didn't have anything to drop for 3, he won't have anything to do with 2. Sherwood. Okay. Sherwood puts Matilda back on top. Okay. We can... Command failure, continue to hit face. Do we do anything else with the 1? I guess we drop... Recon. We could have advanced the Toyama, but I feel like that just means that he clears it for no real cost. Forward observers. Okay, so I draw. He moves, plays Fury. Okay. So, is there lethal here? This could give me... For prosperity, so that's 3-5. Yeah, that doesn't do it. I mean, we can light detachment. Third infantry. For prosperity. We duty bound this swing face, put him at 1. Because we know he has another Matilda in hand. He hasn't had 3 drops. If he has another board clear, it'd have to be something like wave after wave, which I feel like he would have played previously if he had the opportunity to. Putting him at 1 means we can Kanazawa, even if he clears the board, Kanazawa Drive into the Sea deals 2. Okay. That clears light detachment. You need to have something else. You still need to have something else that doesn't actually kill Claude. You can see my hand, dude. You know that I've got... Alright, well... Yeah, I was gonna say, you can see that I've got the return to hand. Cool, alright. 3-2. Alright, well, I mean, this deck has done okay. I mean, it's a little weird. It's a little uncomfortable. I feel like the Soviet cards especially are giving us a lot of pain. And we are matched up again against the Soviet players. So this is probably where we 3-3 out, because, man, I've just not had a response to the Soviet decks. Do we keep Sasebo? Sasebo is... It is a 1-drop. Interesting. Okay. Well, it makes Claude very awkward. Okay, so next turn we can... Recon Advance the Sabo is very strange because he can just trade it for nothing. Or he can just advance on his own. We can play Claude and just expect him to trade into it. But that's kind of weird. That is very, very uncomfortable. I guess we drop Claude, pass. We want to make him make the trade. We don't want to make the trade. If he hits the Sabo, excuse me, we can... Okay, so he's not hitting Sasebo. So we can double trade. Double trade drop Recon. That becomes a 3-4, which is A lot harder to deal with. I think we probably double trade drop Recon. Otherwise, we can drop the Shock guy. Guard Shock. Double trade drop Recon still leaves our Claude on the board. Next turn we can Rimasusi and pin. Because it doesn't seem like he's being very aggressive. Okay. I don't want to Rimasusi and pin now. Or do I? I can Rimasusi pin his sissy. Which maybe is the right call. So I'd like to start getting that draw online. We do actually have a lot of high end in our hands, so maybe we don't need the draw. Do we... I think we pin his sissy no matter what, because we don't really want to deal with that. And then I think we can throw down the ambush guard. If he wants to spend the credits swinging to Claude, he can. I don't really want to pay the 2 op costs to deal 2 damage to something. Cool. You do you. Okay, so we can... Do we want the extra draw? I don't think we care. I think we hit. I think now we drop Susie. Or do we drop a big fighter? I think we drop a big fighter. Dark Deeds. Okay, so he has another sissy. I think that's fine. He makes the trade and I can draw. So far he's not played anything that's beefy enough that You're leaving it unguarded. Okay. Ah. Exile to copy card ambush. That is a good use of that card, actually. Well, I will get the draw for free, I suppose. Then... we probably duty-bound swing into the covert. Yep. So we wanted to get that off the board before it started to get out of control. And then I think we pass. Just didn't have a great response if that started to become a problem. Unfortunately, we don't have a response to that. We can pin it. But even after we pin it, we can't kill it. And that's 1 mana too many. He's going to double trade. So I can Ryusi. Kill those. Then I think we just throw down Rimasusi, and if he has to make the decision to either bomb my bomber, bomb the thing that is protecting my bomber, or bomb the Susi before it draws for me. Just make him make a hard choice here. Because I assume that he looks at the Susi and sees draw, yep, and then wants to get rid of it. I'm okay with that. Did he extended barrage the... Okay, okay. Well. I think we pin his bomber, protect my bomber. because we can duty bound my bomber and hit his bomber. Clear it off. If he... Okay, he advanced there. It does give him the ability to clear. God, respite. Fuck me. That's a brutal draw. Yeah, so I'll have a 5-5. 5-5 bomber does not... Okay. I mean, I think I gotta do this. Otherwise, you just lose the game, right? So it becomes an 8-8 bomber. Hits in there. Then I can drop a guard to try and protect. So he can clear all my blockers, but then I'll still be around. Really? Fuck. Partisans. Damn. All right. Well, like I said, I think this is where the dream dies. We can light detachment pin Sissy. But even that, I mean, he can trade, kill my bomber still. I don't have a great way to kill the 6-7 except for trading both sissies into it. Yeah. I can Kanazawa into the sea. Bounce the 6-7. Trade the board. Supply run doesn't help any. I assume that this triggers after draw. So it just basically loses me my next draw, which is brutal. Yeah, I'm not a fan. This new expansion has me all confused. Yeah, that's fair. I'm still trying to... There's a reason I'm playing draft right now, is that I'm waiting for the meta to sort itself out right now. Yep. Alright, well, we draw and pray. I don't know what's in my deck to even solve this. Well, because he traded, he actually blocked himself from getting the 5-4 exile back from the Into the Sea, which is nice of him. We can Kyoto the 5-7 Dragon Slayer, and then start hit in the face, I guess. Second Partisans. Oh, I don't like that. Okay. He Partisans... What would he do? He Partisan my Dragon Slayer, swing it in, kill, and force me to drop it again? God, that's brutal. I don't have another option, though. Yeah. I think I gotta play it. That is unfortunate. If he Partisans with a full backline, what happens? I actually don't know. Does it just go to frontline? I'm not gonna find out. Forged in Fire. Okay, so for the card draw. He can still Partisan swing. He's not going to. Alright. There's no way for me to take the front line. But to get the draw off of 151st. It's destroying one of the 1/1s worth it. I think it is. think we make him make the trade, make him play Partisans. Maybe then we can... I should have dropped the 4-4 on the other side so that he couldn't hit the 7-6 with the fighter. That was a bad move. Oh no, because he could have traded off into the Tokyo Regiment either way. Yeah. Partisans kills the 7... Oh, interesting. I didn't realize that triggers Kanazawa. Okay. Well, that is a feature. Yeah, he hits the 3-5. Yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He advances. I mean, I'll shock into one of them. Shock into one of the growers. Yeah, and I knew that discard was going to happen. This had smokescreen. I think that's it. I don't have any reach. So I have... What do I have possible? Ooh, exposed. Okay. I have Tony, which is a 5 cost. I mean, I can just drop that and he trades into it and he keeps my HQ safe for a turn, I guess. I think we just wait. Hope we draw something else. I think we've got one more duty bound in the deck, which is a 4-4. Ooh, a guard tank. Ah, that was the only way I think we had maybe a chance. Light detachment, ME 109. Are we dead next turn? 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. If that covert unit is at least a 3 attack unit, we die. So I think we have to just drop the hand. But he hits. He can trade off or kill me. He probably should just leave the tank in the back line. If he plays this slow, he clears my board. Maybe hits me with the covert unit. Oh my god, he had the covert buff card too? Damn. Alright, yep. There was no getting out of that one. Yep, and he advances the tank and hits. Damn. Yeah, I just could not do anything against Soviet, man. 3 wins against non-Soviet decks, 3 losses against Soviet decks. Ah, well, what are you gonna do? Alright, 3-3. Let's crack open the rewards. Alright, get a pack, get some coins, and what's the rando reward here? We get a British second chance. Okay, well, not great. Alright, let's see. One more time through. Okay, so we have US, Soviet, Britain. So I think... Oh, man. What do I want to play? Oh, should update the explanation there. Crafting. I think... Let's go Soviet. Whoop. What happened there? Sorry. Figuring out stuff with the stream client here. I am so wildly biased towards 6-motor rifles that first pick, 6-motor rifles, don't care. It's good. I love it. I'm sure it's not as good as I think it is, but it's one of my favorite cards, man, especially in draft. 573rd or SU-85. I mean, the sticky Soviet infantry is just really hard to argue against. So I'm going to take 573rd. I like all of these, actually. So 740th with the Swiss Army knife approach is a very... I mean, it's a slow card, but 5-6 ambush is hard to deal with, and you almost always are going to get the draw off of it in a way that's helpful, so I think I will take that. I don't really want France. Ooh. Hi, music... Wait, is it musician? France, full Soviet, or Britain? I was really not impressed with what France got in this expansion. I feel like Resistance is not good in a draft setting, just because the decks are awkward and you kind of end up floating credits frequently anyways. But I've only played with it once. We'll give it a shot. And immediately I'm questioning why I gave it a shot. Do I want 3 resistance councils? Probably not. The resistance cards that I would want are the arming the resistance and maybe the guard that throws resistance in the enemy deck. Just pinning and dealing a damage is not. I don't think that's worth it. MS406 is okay at least. Sickle is instant pick. It's too useful. Rush, absolutely. Algerian, Winter Warfare, a critical hit. Non-French units have 2 attack. Is gonna be good in the case. I mean, frequently I feel like we'll push for the midline and then force trades. And frequently, because we have this sort of combat keyword stuff, we will usually have ambush. Having additional attack makes ambush very dangerous to deal with. So, yeah, we'll try Algerian. Ooh, I don't like any of these. Surveil is awkward. Converting into a target unit implies there's a unit on the board that you want to copy and a unit in hand and a card in hand that you don't care about. So you're basically going down 1 card just to copy a unit on the board, which is, I mean, that's brutal loss of tempo. Well, I just resources in general. Burning Sky, I think I will take. There's enough air units floating around that it will probably be useful. Oh boy. Gachina, Silesia, or motor rifles. Okay, so it's not motor rifles. It's either Silesia or... Oop, sorry, I think something's getting delivered. Dog's going nuts. Silesia or Gachina is probably the choice. And what do we have so far? We have... This is Ambush Blitz. I will be right back. Oh my god, I was muted the whole time. Well, that's what I get for answering the door. So we got 1939, 57th Rifles, or KV-85. Oh man, we don't have any T-34s, right? No T-34s. I think we're gonna take KV-85. We don't have any convert synergy, but I feel like we just need, even though this is awkward to play because you lose credits at the start of your next turn, I think we just need something to help smooth out this abysmal curve that we're creating here. Oh god. 3 Forged Fires, 4 Vistrals, or 3 Sturmovix. That is disgusting. I don't want any of these. I don't want 3 copies. What is our order count at? Our orders are at 11. If we take these Forged Fires, these are basically the last orders that we tick, because anything else needs to be units for. Because what do we have? Stuff to clear, stuff to clear, stuff to clear. An order that hits a unit, stuff to clear, orders that hit units, and then order that stuff to clear. Yeah, so. But I don't want 3 Sturmovix. I think we take these, and we have to take units from here on out. We do not want 2 Sabotages. Colm or 18. I think we take Colm. Yak 9 is just good, cycles itself. Gross. Man. I think we have to take Rush. Just it's too efficient. Expeditionary Corps is the one resistance card that I don't mind seeing at this point. Another copy of 573rd. We have to take one of these. I think in this case we take Confusion, because at least it's a one of, and we can trade off. Howitzer orders or Chasing Shadows. Chasing Shadows is a no. Howitzer, I think, is the best option here. Smokescreen means it does actually have, you can Forged and Fire it and draw before it attacks. So we'll take Howitzer. This second to last card. Okay, so it's either 77th or 36th Cav. Do we think we get enough out of 77th to make it worth taking? Because 36th Cav is just good on its own. 77th really requires you to have a couple things dropped behind it to get the benefit of the effects. Do we think we have enough benefits of the effects? We don't have the KV-1S, so we don't get any buffs. We aren't co-piloting with Finland, so we don't have Coastal Battalion. I think our high end is pretty chunky. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6+ drops, and 1 5 drop. I think we can fit. Yeah, I think we want to fit another one in there. Okay, well, it's T-34-85 or Zhukov. Zhukov, I feel like we have a lot of infantry that we do not want to hit with Zhukov, or it doesn't do anything, because a lot of our infantry already has Blitz. So it's just pay 1, give +1/+1, draw an infantry. I think we just take the 85-95 or 85-1945 as a finishes the game. How do I think this deck is going to do? Probably not. I think we're probably looking at another like 3-3. Unfortunately, going through that did not convince me any more of France being any good in drafting. So it's like all of the stuff that's there. It's like Chasing Shadows and Resistance Council, and I mean even the ones that we took with Expeditionary Corps is just a 2-cost 2/3 guard that might screw up a turn for them in the future. Drop the Yak, keep both Sickles, because Sickles just so efficient. Okay, they pass on 1. That's cool. I think ideally, how do we win? We probably play into the late game. I don't really know if I want that many Sickles. Victory Garden turn 3. Well, shit. That's... Now we don't want to play into the late game. Let me update this. Soviet France. And we are currently 0-0. Turn 3, I think we just drop this guy. We'll probably push both frontline. We don't really have a turn 4. I don't really want a respite on these cards. Unless they drop something that's awkward to trade, but yeah. Luckily, respite on this guy is actually pretty good because he becomes a 4/7 that heals itself every turn, which is nice. Okay, he bonds himself. Rush is a good draw. That I think we double move Rush. What do we think he picked? Probably, if I had to guess, the pick would have been the 5 cost +3 to everything. Okay, so he's Britain secondary. I mean, I think we sickle that. Motor rifles go face. Okay, so we transitioned Algerian and our 4th copy of Sickle. If he can't trade off the fighter, he can't drop the Royal Marine because it doesn't trade into anything. Fight effects don't disable ambush, right? Because it's not actually doing combat. Put the thing up there. That's more out of the way. Fusiliers. Okay. I think we 740th. He hits face, or is he hit? Goes face. Okay, so not crazy efficient. We can push hit, drops him to 5. No. I think we... Our turn 7 is probably... Well, actually, God, there's a lot of options here. I think we can flood out and then respite. So we can play the other 42nd and the other 6 motor. Just get as many things on board as possible for the respite turn. Respite, push everything. Because he'd have to double trade into the 42nd rifles in order to clear it, which I would be okay with. So he'd have to have an order, swap the Fusiliers. Right? It's Fusiliers? Royal Fusiliers, yeah. Random 3 damage. Hits a thing that I'm fine with it hitting. Cool. Alright, Respite makes all of these actually survive the bomber, which is interesting. So I think we Respite, move everything forward. Because we're threatening now. He'd have to double trade the bomber and the fighter. Or we can just push face, honestly. We might be able to Forged in Fire, randomly get a Blitz, maybe? Death from Above is a choice. Okay, it hits one of the things he'd want it to hit. He can still double trade into the 4/7. In order to operate the bomber, he has to do pretty much nothing else. So I don't think he wants to op the bomber. We can double trade into the Fusiliers. Double trade into Fusiliers, hit bomber, and sickle. That would leave us 4. He's thinking really hard. Which makes me think that he doesn't have a great option in hand. Okay. He did not have a great option in hand. So, yeah, I think we sickle, double trade the Fusiliers, hit the bomber. Then we play and move up. So obviously he's going to trade that into one of the 4-2 or one of the motor regiments. I don't think he wants to hit the 2-3 to that spawns units. That doesn't seem like the right choice. Okay. That is a decision. Okay, has a second one. I think sickle hit face. Of course, we draw that. I think we can cav push. Because next turn we can... So this is 10 to operate hit face. So I think we're just trying to put pressure on at this point. Make it very difficult for him to get to a point where he feels comfortable. Next turn we can also operate these forward because they would then now trade with 3-2s, which he doesn't want to deal with. He can double trade into cavalry, which puts 2 in the back line. I can push all of that forward. Okay, that... You have to double trade into it still, bud. I don't think that's what you wanted to do. Okay, we can Burning Sky. Okay. Forgot he had Royal Marine. I think that's okay, though. I think Burning Sky, kill that, hit face, move this forward. Where does that leave us? I think we can drop the other cav. If he didn't have a response to the first cav, I don't think he has a response to the second cav. So that is hit, T-34, move hit is 12 damage that we're threatening. So he has to get rid of both. That ain't gonna do it. That ain't gonna do it. Yeah, unfortunately for him, this guy absorbed all of his Warcry effects. Cool. That is a 1-0. The French cards that I do have did absolutely nothing. So this is just Soviet cards are good. Because Algerian got transitioned and never drew 406, and the Expedition Corps pretty much died, and the Resistance card never got drawn. So this is basically a mono-Soviet deck that just happens to splash a couple French cards, because why not? Okay, playing Germany. All right, gotta keep Crossfire in mind. I don't really want 573rd. Keeping 1 sickle is okay. Rush is kind of unfortunate. We don't have a lot of good early drops to trigger Rush, but it looks like he's also playing slow, so we can drop MS 406 as our 3. Stug, if he wants to trade into it, he's welcome to. Otherwise, we can rush it, shoot face. If we rush, shoot face, yeah, I guess that would be okay. Okay. Well, now we want to Gamba the rush. I think we Gamba the rush. Hope it hits the Jagdpanzer. No luck. In that case, I guess we sickle the Jagdpanzer so that if he wants to spend his turn moving and trading, he can. There's, unfortunately, a lot of cards in our hand that if he hits it with that is pretty gnarly. His own rush. Okay. Well, we can howitzer forged and fire that. Fury. Oh, that's fun. Hopefully he doesn't have sickle or a second rush, because apparently he's playing Soviet secondary, but breakthrough. Fuck. Damn. That would have been nasty if that went off. Okay. We need anything. That works, actually. I think we just have to rush with it. Dude, that's kind of unfortunate. I would have preferred if it killed that guy. We've lost two 50-50s on the rush so far. We could 36 cav into it, which I think we're going to have to do. 36 cav into the 5-5, which we're going to have to do. If he wants to kill these Jagdpanzer, he's just going to push face, though. Knock me down to 5. Oh, interesting. He doesn't. Okay, well, I think we... Hammer. Do we trade off? I think we put more damage into the front line. Because, let's see. Most of the time, he has a lot of cards in hand, so he probably didn't take Arctic Convoy. I've played no planes, so he probably didn't take Burning Sky. So he probably has Hammer in hand, right? That's the other one you can get off that. Okay. Trade in. Third Stug. I mean, I think we push one, play 25th Infantry. 25th Infantry, we can Forged in Fire to draw a card. And most things that we would get for 25th Infantry is potentially impactful. Okay, again, I don't think it's the anti-plane thing, so it's probably... Ooh, that's mean. I think we've got a T-34-85 that, honestly. This will force a response. We can push the light infantry. So he can double trade into it, which clears it. He can hammer. Oh, he took Eagle Claws. Yeah, there's the hammer. He hammered that. Do you have a bunch of stuff that will just do face damage? What are you doing? Okay, I think we sickle this twice. We can... I mean, killing that for sure. Pushing this. Playing that down. Are we... Forged and firing? We might as well. Ambush is brutal. Okay, wow. Ambush, heavy armor, shock that can't get lost, can't be suppressed. You better have another hammer in hand, my friend, because otherwise... I mean, we just push face? You've got to trade. Okay, we've got another guard. I mean, might as well drop Colm. Flood the front line. He doesn't have an easy way to set up for partisans. Okay, well, he bonds himself for 2. I think that's okay. He surrendered. Nice. I mean, the 84-85, 34-85 was coming back down on the next turn, so. All right, re-queue up. All right, well, so far so good. This deck is actually doing better than I thought it would. Again, the Soviet, like, keyword stuff is just way better in draft that I keep giving it credit for. I feel like this deck has very, very awkward curves, and it still seems to be competitive. If anything, what this has taught me is how good Ambush is. Ambush is just an incredible, incredible card. Or card keyword. Okay. Britain may be playing Brit Air. I still don't want to keep Burning Sky. I think we keep Expeditionary Corps. We don't have a British, or we don't have a Soviet card to play 573rd. So I think we toss these, see what else we get. Toss one 573rd, get the other two. All right, well, it's something. At least we can play 42nd Rifles first. Oh, we can play Culm first. Do we play Culm? I think we play Culm. We don't have a turn 2 with this play, but I think that's fine. Culm puts enough pressure. Pilot Escape. Okay, so it is an air. Okay, well, it's Brit Poland. Shoot. There. All right, so we know Burning Sky will actually have something to target, probably. Dilemma. That's fine. Well, we can just start throwing down the 573rds. We can push play another one next turn. Sort of flood the board with sticky things. Double London Irish Rifles. Okay. He can double swing with the London Irish Rifles into that guy. I would be okay with that. Whirlwind. Okay. Kind of want to set up for I think we play 654th swing face. Kind of set up for a big respite turn. It's a little awkward with Whirlwind because I don't have a good way to deal 6. I guess I don't care that much about HQ damage. That's fine. Trades that off. I think I can... Well, now I want to just kill that Algerian, but... we can double hit there. Move up. Move up an Expeditionary Corps. We're now... I mean, the more stuff we have on board, the better Respite gets, and the better Algerian gets. Fury Guard. Summons dudes. You can trade off with that if you want. Okay, which he does choose to. He can't... Okay, production. Production for nothing. I'm a little confused about that one. Move. Expeditionary. The awkward thing is that when this dies, I want to make sure that the stuff that pops out is able to be actually used in some way, but I don't know if I don't know if I have the ability to have that happen, so I'll just put that there. That's fine, ping for 1. What's in the KV? It'll change after this turn, but I think that's... Oh yeah, it's 16th Rifles. It's probably going to stay 16th Rifles, honestly. So... What can he do? He can hit with the... Yep, summon another one of those. Summons that. That's fine. Slap the Whirlwind into the 2/3. Nope. I think we do that. It'd be fine if it hits my face. Interception. Okay. Interesting choice. Move that up. Ah, it is just adjacent. That is much worse than I thought it was, I'll be honest. Adjacent non-French units. I don't know why it was all non-French units. I think this is the first time I've ever really played that card. He's gotten a lot out of that Whirlwind, unfortunately. I mean, I think we hit here. We can throw down another Expeditionary Corps. Forged in Fire, Respite. Makes it significantly more awkward for him to get that 4/7 out of the front line there. He's kind of flooded his own board with stuff that now doesn't want to swing. I mean, he's got to throw the Whirlwind into one of these two guys, right? Like, he has to. He can full trade if he wants into the front line. Yeah. Okay. Okay. We can partisans that. It doesn't kill it, though. We can... It doesn't threaten, actually, any of my units. Now that I think about it. So we can try... Let's see if we can get shock, maybe? Got heavy armor. I think we just push everything. What is this? Dropping an Expeditionary Corps? I don't want that. If he wants, he can double trade into this guy. With the bomber. He doesn't want that. Okay. This does not seem like the biggest threat on this field. You gonna trade into that with a fighter? Okay. So he's just going all in on trying to keep that IL-2 alive. We don't have an easy way to get through the tank, unfortunately. So I think we do partisans the tank to clear off the bomber. And I'm hoping that with that out of the way, if all he was trying to do was protect the bomber to get it to the point where it could scale up enough to start bombing things and clearing this front line, then I think we've probably won. Okay, that does not help. You've put another Churchill on top of your deck. Alright, so we hit clear. Just full clear the board here. Silesia draws us 2. Deployment effects are blocked due to... Why are people playing this card? But sure, you do you, man. Why? Alright, he's drawn a Churchill, which doesn't save him. Yep, there you go. Alright, 3-0. Okay. Cash in some coins. And next game. Yes, this deck's doing pretty good, actually. Again, it's just you take the front line with ambush, and all of a sudden it gets real challenging for the opponent to do much of anything at all. So, I mean, it's kind of brutal if you start getting it rolling. All right. I am wildly biased and want to keep motor rifles. Okay, so we Expeditionary on 2, motor rifles on 3. So far, we've still yet to see a single resistance card get drawn. Despite playing, what is it, 2, 3 resistance core in the last game? Drop that on 2. Mute him. Okay, we can motor rifles. Start getting that early. Okay, we changed one of our... Okay, I'm okay with those hits. 40-second rifles is fine. Okay. Push both, play another Expeditionary, I think. I'm totally fine swinging the Expeditionary into the covert. My worry is that it is... Alright. Not what I thought it was. Lose 3 credits, so he'll have 2 credits. We can do that push. Swing face. Because we can make things very, very awkward if he hits there with the ambush guy. We can just sickle people. Play another Expeditionary. Okay, he's now got 3 resistances in his deck. Let's see if he draws any, ever. It's too much to ask. Extended Barrage. His own 6 motor. He transformed one of the resistances into 6 motor. Okay, well, I think we drop KV-85, get our own 6 motor back. Let's convert... Ooh. Maybe the MS. Play our own 6 motor back. We can comb... That doesn't do much. We hold comb for now. Maybe we just sickle the tank. Okay. We can trade with the KV. We'll only have 6 credits next turn. Exposed kills KV. Yeah. His own 6 motor again. okay? It's starting to get awkward here. We can... yeah, I think 7/40th is fine. Do we want to draw or do we want to deal damage? I think we have some beefy units already, so maybe we take the damage card. That effectively trades out. It still actually trades out. We can hammer the KV-1S. Hits face. All right. So I think we hammer KV-1S. We can... I think we have to hit rush. Hit rush, push, play another motor rifles. Okay. We can 3485 on the next turn. If he plays something beefy down. His own motor rifles. Unfortunately, motor rifles do not counter motor rifles. Blockade is unfortunate, so he will now take the front line. We can 3485 into his motor rifles and put our own stuff back in there. We can Algerian hit face for, geez, 12. Okay. 2/6 guard, 1/8 guard. Okay, so he's got some big guard boys. 3/6 guard. Okay, well, we're hitting some guard units. I think that we are probably playing Algerian Respite. There's just a lot of stats all on the board for him to deal with. If he was already kind of blockading to try and clear before, that makes me think... Okay, so it buffs those by 1. He can... This T-3485 is just brutal to try and trade into. So I think I move... Do we have a good partisans trade? Not really. Could move Algerian up. Take the... Send it there, kill the plane. And then I think we drop our own just in case he has some sort of big bomber. Now he's got to clear the yak. He doesn't have good kills on these unless it's out of hand. Exposed would do it. Land Girls gives him... I do like that card a lot. From the People kills one of these two. From the People kills the other one. He shoots Algerian to kill his own. Oh no, of course. Sorry. I don't know why it had 6 attack. Thought it was going to buff itself. That's wrong. Okay, so I think we... Do we push damage face? Or do we just keep Algerian on the board? I think we keep Algerian on the board because it's making things very awkward for him. I think we just push everything up here. Blitz Bond, Blitz. I think we can Forged and fire that guy. Fury is great. Alright, next turn we can Silesia. Draw 1, 2, 3 cards. That's if he doesn't clear stuff, because right now this is... Oh, oh no. Oh, that's brutal. Okay, yep. I think that's probably it. Yeah, we can partisans. Yeah. Clear the blocker. All right, 4-0. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and re-queue into the next guy. T-3485, man, that card's brutal and constructed, and it's even, I mean, it is SSS tier in draft. It is absolutely disgustingly cracked. I just can't can't imagine why they thought that card was okay. All right. Okay. Expeditionary Corps and Rush gives us stuff to hit early. Forged on Fire, you can play on Expeditionary Corps, and it does draw. I think we drop those two. Okay. Turn 2 is Expeditionary Corps. Turn 3 is Rush, Forged and Fire. Well, okay. We've got options now. I was going to say turn 50... 654th would be turn 4. Can Expeditionary Corps... Alright, so turn 3... Depends what happens. Okay, they play nothing. We can set up for a bigger Silesia turn. We can play 42nd, I guess. Because this also can benefit, so we can push Forged in Fire. We are not going to do that. We are going to rush Forged in Fire, push. Did this get smokescreen? It got blitz. Great. This is where random combat keywords are ass. Draws 2. Nope, does not draw 2. Silesia still just draws 1. We can 654th and push, because now we'll draw off of the T70. So this gives us 2 cards. I think that's probably about the most we're going to expect off of Silesia, honestly. Unless we're hitting a bunch of 6 motors. Sickle, move, draw. Yeah, Silesia first. Now we can sickle, move, hit. Okay. This is probably a pretty good respite turn. Oh, or not. Clear that. Expeditionary, push, respite. Okay. I have 4/6 ambush in the front line that is protected by guard that they don't have an easy clear on is nice. They don't have a great way to get a crossfire setup, so that's good. Okay. Another Stug. We can confusion one of the Stugs. Shove it into the 5/2. Then I think we push, hit face. KV-85 is currently holding a Stug in it. I think we save that. We drop T-34, shove face. Enigma. Okay, that's a good draw. I can hammer that guy. Make sure he doesn't get more regen. I guess I can actually sickle hit. It's probably better. Sickle hit, double trade. Then we can... Sure, 573rd down, push it. We're hitting him for 12 next turn. Annihilation. Gets rid of the hammer. Another Stug. Dude, this is the second Germany in a row that is full drafted Stugs, and I don't understand. We can hit. I think we triple hit. Threaten T-34. Pass. Like, he doesn't have good trades. Like, these Stoogs do not do anything against all of these beefy infantry. Yeah, there we go. 5-0 in draft. It must just be that these players are fighting against people who have, like, way overdrafted control or something. And then, like, all of these, like, pretty good smokescreen, like, early Stoog drops, like, just allows them to win the game before the other person's deck comes online. Yeah, that's, again, the second German deck in a row that has, like, triple dropped Stoog, and the Stoogs have sat there and done nothing. They just, I don't know. I don't feel like tanks are, like, overdrafted right now. So the extra damage doesn't seem worthwhile. Maybe it was worth keeping Respite, just because that's definitely won me some games. But I feel like having no units to drop before it is a death knell. Alright, so we Expeditionary on 2. Our curve is a little iffier this time around. Okay. We can take the bond damage if we want. I don't know if we'll want to. We can rush Forged in Fire. I don't really want to rush that. That doesn't really do much. We don't really have another play, because this doesn't do much except hit me. I guess we can do that. If he wants to push, he can. Bersaglieri. Okay. I would like to Partisans that, actually. I think we can play 5/64th. And just make things kind of awkward for him to just chill. How does Partisans work? Taking control moves the units to support line controls unless it's the only unit in the front line. How does that work if my support line's full? We might be doing science in this game. Okay, we can rush the T-70. Move and trade. I'm okay with that. Let me just put some pressure on. I mean, he's obviously got good trades. Second Bersaglieri. Okay, so he's very, very heavy in the Bersag. Okay, does this... Doesn't really trade easily. We can try to Gamba with Forged in Fire. We can... I mean, the easy thing would be hit here, Sickle. I'm fine with motor rifles. Move motors into the front line. Again, he's got fine trades if he wants to take them. Shock is unfortunate, but that's okay. Gives me 2 of those. Moves that into the front line. We can... We're a credit short. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we're 2 credits short to do what I want to do here. Because I was hoping to be able to Partisans it and then trade. But that's doesn't seem like it's going to work. Because I assume if this dies while I have it Partisaned, it goes into my deck, I assume, which would be very funny. But I think we can Algerian shock attack, trade one of these guys off. And then we can sickle let the other one continue to grow. Because if he pushes forward with the... So, the punish here is... That's not what I was thinking. I suppose that could be considered a punish. Huh. That's awkward. Okay, so we can... Ooh. We can yak, trade, drop howitzer. 5, 6. Nope. Can't drop howitzer if we do that. We can... I mean, I think we trade no matter what. I think we yak, and we just don't have a 2. I guess we can forge and fire this. Smokescreen. Smokescreen actually is very good for that. That's one of the few times I'm happy seeing Smokescreen. He doesn't have a good trade, not without cards. Enemy area must retreat. Alright, well. Okay. Well, the card we drew off of that was acceptable. So we can do that. We can... Three. Trade there. Rush. Oop! Clicked on the wrong one. I meant to Algeria and rush. Oh well. It's okay. Shore bombardment deals 3. Yorktown to fill the front line. Okay. We can confusion to get 2 of these off the board. That's a little awkward. Do we just drop 25th Infantry and hope that he doesn't have... Why is this 5-4? Algerian gave this 2 attack somehow. I don't think that's true. I think we drop... Interesting. 240 seconds, we can fusion one of these away and swing. Ah, of course, it loses its buff. That was dumb. That was a misplay. That was a misplay. If he's got the combo with fighter buff, that's unfortunate. He hasn't drawn strike group or anything, so it'd have to be the move into the front line or +1s. Swings for 6. Yep, that's fair. You gonna make that an 8-8? Yep. We can partisans that, but it doesn't actually help because it doesn't die. We can swing, leaves us with 9, drop 25th. I mean, if he has any ability to silence, then I pretty much have lost anyway, so right? So, alright, now he does swing in. Spring offensive, okay. So he's looking for card draw. Resistance pins. Interesting. Does that change much? I don't know. So it should be pinned still on his turn, if I understand how the card works. Shock is pointless, but okay. Attacking the colonies. 18th Bersagliere. Okay, well, I can trade the 18th with partisans. Then trade, move it to the front line. That guy. All right, so 5-4 in the front line is, I mean, even if he drew the Italian bond, it's the other Bersagliere. Oh God. Okay. All right. That is uncomfortable. I'm 1 credit short of doing what I need to do. Does he just hit face with the fighter? Or does he clear? I think we just have to threaten this. Because if he hits the 5-4 with the fighter, then we have a way to clear it off. And then I'm hoping that he just doesn't have a way to deal with the 3485. All right. That draw first, which is what you should do, but that does... Oh my God, he had the other Bersagliere. And then that finishes it off. We can... I mean, no matter what, we're not... yeah. We're just gonna have to drop this and hope that this values. Unfortunately, all these Italian Bersagliere cards are starting to be very worthwhile, and he hasn't bonded himself enough. Oh my God, he has Ledesma. Okay. I mean, we can hammer that. Unfortunately, the KV-85 is 1 turn too late, because this is now... it is 25th Infantry, actually. I think we need to convert Expeditionary Corps. Swing there. 25th. Pass. We don't get the light infantry, but I think that's okay. I'd rather have those things continue to grow. Schwarr Bombardment. Hitting one of those. I assume that he's going to pick the... Oh, Death from Above. That's not actually what I would have guessed. Well, we can trade. Hammer, move, trade. I mean, basically we're at the point where he draws Bersagliere and blows me out, or... Oof. I think we just have to push face, honestly. He... That is unfucking believable, man. Okay. This whole time he had air defense up. I did not play around that at all, that's for sure. Okay, well, I trade. He air covers. I mean, I've got to take the trade, right? Because air cover is too threatening. This moves forward. Really wish I drew something else. Please don't draw Bersagliere. He doesn't have good targets. Shoots face. Shoots face. I do 6, 9, 11. Is there anything... Draw first. Respite full clear, I think is where we're at. Okay. So this is technically not lethal next turn because it leaves him at 1. Okay, leaves him at less than 1. Or more than 1. Another motor rifles. Beautiful, man. Holy moly. Oh no! Did I just kill myself? Oh no. Oh no, I didn't know. I did not realize I had so many cards in my deck. Oh no. No, please don't have deal damage to the HQ. Please don't have a way to deal damage to the HQ. Oh, thank Christ. Holy shit. Whoa, that... Oh, whoops. Whoops. Always look at your deck before... Thank God I didn't play any other motor rifles. Okay, that's a 6-0. That shouldn't have been. I should have lost. Oh, that would have been gross. That would have been very, very gross. Oh my God. All right. Oh, Jesus. All right, well, that went down to it. I mean, unfortunately, that's the part of the game where motor rifle starts to be kind of bad when you start top decking stuff at the very end, because now every motor rifles is also morale damaging you. So yeah, not a great time. Oh boy, I cannot believe that. Oh, that felt uncomfortable. All right, next game. Get back in. All right, playing Britain. Don't want that. Don't want that. Keeping motor rifles and Silesia is a significant amount of early game draw, but doesn't apply that much pressure. Colm answers that. Okay. I don't mind this hand, because we Colm, push, probably sickle whatever they put down, and Colm it on 2. Then 3 we can motor rifles, 4 we Silesia, draw 2. This is looking pretty good. Hey there, how's it going? All right. We can sickle trade, which I am fine doing, I think. And that. All right, so turn 3 motor rifles, turn 4 Silesia, draw 2. Bomber. What does this bomber do? When it's destroyed and an exile to card to hand. I think that's fine. That is not threatening. We can rush. We can from the people it. If he wants to op it, I'm fine with that, because that's 2 creds that he's not spending on anything else. Neither of those are great confusion targets. I think we from the people push. We can also, yeah, I think we from the people push. Honey does not trade well into this. Gives him an exile card, that's fine though. So next turn is Silesia Rush. Unless he has a way to clear this. Pilot Escape might clear. We can... Oh, I was making a choice here. All right. That makes me think that he probably drew something that could clear this, and he may or may not have. Maybe P40? Tiger Moth. Huh. That was not what I was thinking. We can Confusion. We can 40-second rifles. I'm not really afraid of the Tiger Moth. It only does 1. If he wants to double swing and push Honey into 42nd, I think I'm okay with that. Kind of have an awkward turn here. I can 42nd. I don't think either of these cards are worth rushing on. Is awkward that we just kind of float 2 credits, but oh well. What are you going to do? Push face. Okay. I think... Oh, Sea Patrol. I'll admit I did not consider that. We can... I really don't want a Silesia to just draw 1. But I think we... Silesia, draw one. Kind of wish that was in the other order, but that's okay. We can Fortune Fire this, and maybe we get Shock. Nice. I was fine with either Shock or Guard there, honestly. But I will take the high roll. Yeah, Shock or Guard would have been good. The heavy armor would have been okay. Who did he hit with that? Was that the Lovat? Lovat scouts? So we can Confusion and Rush to guarantee the clear on Lovat scouts, so that he doesn't spawn a unit. We can just push cavalry into the front line. It's a little convoluted, but I think I like this. Interception. Okay. That puts us in more of an awkward situation. We can Gamba, take the 50-50 with Rush. Lost the Gamba. Alright, well. Push Expeditionary, I guess. That turn couldn't have gone worse. That is unfortunate. He gets... Okay, at least I can sickle that. So that's not a challenging clear. Blockade is unfortunate, but not awful. He had... Oh, Lovat makes everything a Navy card. I forgot about that. Okay, so we can... Burning Sky, but that does not clear Lovat. I think we've gotta... do that. Then we can motor rifles push to the front line. And... I guess we sit on it. I don't really want to just sickle it to... Okay, that's not a terrible draw. Okay, Trenched. This Lovat Scouts is terrifying. Okay, we're sickling it for sure. He's now filling his deck with motor rifles, which is fun. It's getting off the rails a little bit, but that's okay. Still winning the value war. Yeah, I would tend to agree. I feel like this is... I think we can just drop Cav, shoot it there. Calliope is... I mean, I assume he just shoots face with it. And is just going to try to rush it down. If he does that, I think it's... 1. Could be Rush. Rush doesn't really help him. Could be Sickle. Sickle doesn't really help him. I think we just drop the 3485, shove it into the front line, make him have a response. It's not really afraid of the polar... What is it? Polar bears? Polar guards? Polar bears. And if he does kill it, we've got KV-85 to change something else in our hand into a new 3485. Okay, so he's just going full face damage. Okay. So let's see. This is 4. I think we dropped that 7. 8, 9, 10, 11. Just maximize the defense around our HQ. So 654th, Expeditionary, Respite, push, frontline, pass. If he's got a way to clear both of those guards, which are pretty chunky, and then deal damage to the HQ, he can have the W, man. Silly Brits thinking they're animals. Yeah, I will admit, I do actually appreciate the cards that are actually have names on them. The number of times, it's like, the things that are just like, 3rd Regiment, it's like, I have an impossible time remembering what that card is named. At least Polar Bears is something that's recognizable. That is probably the worst possible rush hit that he had, so that's nice. Stretch the line. Okay, so he's really, really going for it here. Does KV give me a... I think it gives me another guard unit. Do I... Wow, am I that desperate for... I mean, we're definitely swinging in. Definitely doing that to open up the back line here. Am I worried about the last card that he has in hand? Or do I just want to, like, threaten to end the game? I think we just threaten to end the game. Push that forward, and... we can Fortune Fire one of these guys. Sure, heavy armor. Why not? Okay, cool. That's a nice, big, beefy guard unit for next turn. I don't... Oxford does not do anything. Zamosk Uprising hits my face for 3, but then otherwise does not do anything. Surrender. Alright, 7-0. I will take that. So, 7-0. Again, I don't think France contributed literally anything. This deck was just... Soviets are good, man. Alright. Hammer home? That might have completed the place out there. And home front. Expense carry. I mean, and that... I swear, the number of ones that I played in those 7 games, and I think I drew... There was a single resistance card that ever got drawn, and there was no enemy units on the field, and they didn't do anything that turn anyway. It was like, well, resistance is just not... I don't feel like it's that great and constructed. It definitely doesn't seem good in draft, but... Alright, well, I actually am hitting... No, I actually am late to going to go get lunch right now, so I'm going to see if there's anyone else that is playing. Doesn't look like there is really, so I actually am just going to wrap the stream up for today. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, hopefully we'll be back again before too long, but holidays are always kind of crazy. All right, later everybody.